Wicked. Good morning, 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 good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, PT, Martinique, the Eastern Caribbean, the rest of the world. It is another day to have a good day. Tuesday, September 21st, 2021, the 21st day of the best month of the year. Only 9 more days, and then I will stop saying it, because by then the best month would have ended. So good morning, everybody. Bless up your whole selves. How are you? Trust you had a restful and peaceful Monday night. Some new regulations were released yesterday for those of us here in the Isle of Spice. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a short while. But in the meantime, let me big up the people tuned into the program this morning and starting their day off with us here at Classic and GBN, whichever platform you're using this morning. Those of you on the GBN Grenada Broadcasting Network's Facebook page, the Grenada Broadcasting Network's YouTube channel, the website www.gbn.gd, GBN TV channel 7, 11 and 20. Good morning to the listeners of Classic 105.5, 105.9 and all the folks joining us on Party Grenada and Go to FET Facebook pages. To our viewers and listeners across the Caribbean, whichever part of the region you are, a spicy Grenadian 473 morning to each and every one of you. And those of you joining us internationally, good morning, good afternoon, good night. Hope you will have a good day, are having a good day, have had a good day. All right, that should capture everybody. Good morning, good morning. Let's get straight into it. A few pieces of information to share so we're not sticking once again. This morning's word is collude. Collude. It's spelled C-O-L-L-U-D-E. Collude. It is a verb which means to conspire or plot. The Latin prefix call means together, and the verb ludere means to play. They come together to form the word collude. The related noun collusion has a specific meaning, secret agreement or cooperation. Despite their playful history, collude and collusion have always suggested deceit or trickery rather than good-natured fun. The word of the day this morning is collude, C-O-L-L-U-D-E, a verb which means to conspire or plot. An example of the use of the word, the two companies had colluded to keep prices high. Another example of the use of the word, 7 managers were charged with bilking the transit agency out of hundreds of thousands of dollars by colluding with vendors to charge for goods that were never provided. Word of the day this morning, collude, C-O-L-L-U-D-E, a verb which means to conspire or plot. And as we go about this terrific Tuesday, the thought for today, for the rest of the week. Work with me now. There we go. The thought for the rest of your life. Surround yourself with people that lift your soul and bring out the best in you. Surround yourself with people that lift your soul and bring out the best in you. Not everybody around you means you well. Not everybody around you is meant to complete this journey with you. This journey called life, not all of them are meant to be on that train with you. What you need to do is to weed out the people that are meant for your good, meant for your betterment, meant to uplift you, meant to encourage you, meant to be there for you in good and bad times. Those are the people that you need around you. Those are the people to surround you. Anybody else, they just sucking your soul and sucking your spirit and leaving you dry. And they don't really care how they leave you, but what you need to find are the people who mean you well. They're not always easy to find, but when you find them, you just love them up. Surround yourself with people that lift your soul and bring out the best in you. That's what I want you to do. Be able to spot the people that mean you well and the people who are going to lift you up, the people who are going to be there for you, the people who are going to bring out the best in you. That's what I want you to do for, especially today, a matter of fact. That's my mission for you today. All right, let's see what's celebrated today. A few things are celebrated, and today, one of them is the International Day of Peace. International Day of Peace. This day urges humanity to set aside its differences and commit to making peace. Also known as Peace Day, the observance is designed to bring the world together. It is no secret that we are living in turbulent times, and this is a good time to celebrate. It's International Day of Peace. So many wars taking place around the place, so much violence. Every day you wake up is a shooting here or a death here. Just yesterday, a fight between a man and a woman. Lost. I can't believe I mentioned that. That's the first story that I read this morning when I woke up. A fight in Trinidad between a man and a woman yesterday. The woman was holding a 15-month-old little girl, and the man swinging a cutlass hit the child in her head, and she passed away. Today is International Day of Peace. Let's live in love and peace. Too much things happening around. We have other things to focus on, things that we can control. We can control our anger. We can control how we react to situations, and let the other things fall where they may. But what we can do is recognize International Day of Peace and do our part. Stop quarreling and fighting. Life too short for them kind of thing. Life too short for them kind of thing. Let's live in peace. Let's live in love. That's what today is celebrated as International Day of Peace. So let's all have a peaceful day today. A peaceful week, a peaceful year, a peaceful life. Too much things happening. War all over the place, fighting, backbiting, gunshot, cutlass pelt. Lord, the thing coconius. International Day of Peace. Let's try as much as we can to let it be a peaceful Tuesday. All right, information time. The new COVID-19 regulations, or the new regulations that are geared at curbing the continued spread of COVID-19 here in Grenada, they were released yesterday. They took effect as of midnight, which was less than 7 hours ago. And a few things, let me see off the top of my head. The next 2 weekends, this one and the one after, they will also be no movement weekends. We've experienced 2 so far. It wasn't so bad. Another 2 ain't gonna kill us. So we have 2 more no movement weekends for this weekend and the next one. What else? Curfew remains in place from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. daily. One of the important things coming out of the regulations released yesterday, beaches, the hours of opening are extended. It was from 5 a.m. to either 10 or 10:30. Now it's going to 1 p.m. So for you beach lovers, you have a little extra time on the beach. I'm grateful for it, because by the time I finish at 10, I didn't get no beach time. So now I can go on the beach. Beaches and rivers close at 1 p.m. What else? There are a few things. From my understanding, there will be no weddings. I think that's what I saw. However, funerals will be held at the grave sites, no more than an hour, no more than 20 people, including the officiant. And that's what I remember off the top of my head. Acquaint yourself with the new regulations. Businesses, the same. I believe it's the same businesses that have been open for the past 2 weeks. Those are the ones that will be allowed to continue to operate for the duration of these regulations, which expire October 5th, if my memory serves me correctly. No, October 1st. It'll go to October 1st, so keep that in mind. This morning's post-cabinet briefing will be facilitated by the Ministry of Health. They did not identify who are the officials that will be facilitating, but just know it will be facilitated by the Ministry of Health, 10 a.m. We will carry the proceedings on GBN platforms. All right, so that's off the top of my head. That's the information I have so far. Every time I remember something, I would highlight it. I will share it with you. In the meantime, let's get ready for the morning edition of news. For those of you on radio and those of you on our visual platforms, we bring you highlights of last evening's newscast. Good morning, Grenada, on a terrific Tuesday. We'll be right back. Self-preservation, we pull through all situations.
It's already a sad thing to say goodbye. The burden of death is made easier to bear when one gets some time to process the emotions associated with this sad reality. The ability to have relatives and friends join you in the period of mourning and saying farewell will also go a long way. However, At this pivotal time in history, some of those good graces won't be experienced. As mentioned in our headlines this evening, families will be given 72 hours to bid farewell to relatives who die as a result of complications related to COVID-19. The announcement was made today during a news briefing. We get details from Janelle McDonald.
Acting Director of Medical Services, Dr. Taisha Donald, presenting a joint statement from funeral homes, churches and government, highlighted decisions reached at a meeting last Thursday.
The following decisions were made, and those that are not already in practice will come into effect from Wednesday, 22nd September 2021. The first decision: all burials from deaths due to COVID-19 will be done within 72 hours from the time of the certification of the death. 2. Persons dying from the COVID-19 infection will not be embalmed. 3. Up to 2 persons would be allowed to view the body at the funeral home for identification purposes only. After the body is identified, the coffin or casket will be permanently sealed.
Dr. Donald outlined the options available for families and religious groupings.
4. Graves will be dug to a depth no fewer than 6 feet. 5. Families have the option to cremate or to bury. 6. Accommodations will be made for religious bodies requiring special rites in the preparation of their bodies for burial. 7. Funerals will remain between the hours of 9 to 12 a.m. However, when there are more bodies to be buried in a given day that can be realistically done within these hours, funeral directors may seek special dispensation from the Royal Grenada Police Force to extend the time to no later than 2 p.m. And finally, funerals will take place only at the cemetery.
Clinton Bailey represented the funeral homes at today's briefing session. He says both Bailey's and Lacqua funeral homes have secured a refrigerated container just so that they are prepared for any eventualities. He stated that Wayne's Funeral Home in St. Andrew has also enhanced its capacity. Bailey told journalists that the funeral agents remain committed to ensuring that families are afforded due dignity and respect even through this very trying time.
The COVID deaths at home, when one is at home fast, we would have the doctor is being called, the district medical officer is being called. He is going out there, have a look, do a test, to confirm COVID or non-COVID. We are called, we are all dressed in PPEs, and we are adhering to the protocols of handling this body in a dignified manner. The body is then placed brought to the funeral home and placed in the refrigerator until arrangements are made for the burial, which is now 72 hours.
GBN puts this issue under the microscope on the weekly Beyond the Headlines program. Panelists include representatives of 2 of Grenada's most established funeral agencies in the United States, Mr. Wayne Watts and David Williams, together with Bishop Martin Scott of the Hebron Pentecostal Church. For GBN News, Janelle McDonald.
And we're moving over to the sister island. A resident of the Top Hill home has become Carriacou's first recorded COVID-19 related death. In light of this, government is reinforcing the senior home with additional protocols and providing support to protect the other residents. Rena Pear-Thomas tells us about that.
Governmental officials and health practitioners on the sister isle of Carriacou are busy implementing a 24-hour healthcare plan at the Top Hill Senior Home, as one of the residents there became the island's first COVID-19 death recorded. 99-year-old Miss Leah Guadalupe, also known as Fatina Guadalupe, succumbed to the virus on Sunday morning at the Princess Royal Hospital. She was one of 2 residents who were admitted to the hospital over the weekend due to the dreaded COVID-19 virus. Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs Minister Kindra Matthew-Stewart extended her condolences to the family and friends of Miss Guadalupe. She spoke of what is being done to further care for the 10 remaining residents at the home who have tested positive for COVID-19.
I can tell you that there is now a doctor and a nurse who visits the home every day for the purposes, of course, of checking the symptoms, evaluating, monitoring, and testing of the residents and the staff there on a daily basis. Specific and special arrangements have been made for the transportation of workers to and fro the home. In addition to that, other arrangements have been made to allow for some of the staff members to actually sleep in at the home to continue to provide all-round care and service to the residents there.
Minister Stewart stated that the home is fully equipped with the necessary gears to safeguard and care for both staff and residents. Out of the 13 residents at the home, 11 were tested positive, and out of the 2 negative residents, 1 is fully vaccinated. 8 staff members were also afflicted by the virus. Strategies are implemented to minimize the chance of exposure of the 2 residents who tested negative for the virus.
Added to that, the positive cases are now also isolated and are being kept separate and apart from the negative cases so as to avoid any contamination, cross-contamination, so to speak, in relation to the positives and the negatives. And of course, we continue to monitor the situation as it unfolds. So timely intervention can take place and can occur by the medical personnel to ensure that the symptoms and adverse effects are not worsened before intervention can take place.
The minister reassures the public that they are doing all they can to neutralize the issue. The Sister Isle has 67 active COVID-19 cases and 10 recoveries. There are 61 in Carriacou and 6 active cases in Petit Martinique. For GBN News, I am Rina Pear-Thomas reporting.
According to the Ministry of Health, 55 persons have so far died as a result of complications related to COVID-19. A 5-member team of specialists landed here today. Their mission is to assist in lifting Grenada out of its present COVID crisis. As we'll hear in this report, the team of Mexican doctors will help with the management of patient care for persons who are hospitalized.
Medical experts from Mexico arrived in Grenada on Monday via a JetBlue flight, ready to provide humanitarian service to the people of Grenada as the country grapples with the impact of COVID-19. Their presence will boost the medical manpower at the General Hospital that has been overwhelmed in the past 3 weeks with the increase in numbers of hospitalization of COVID patients and deaths. Mrs. Magdalena Fielding is the Honorary Consul of Mexico in Grenada.
5 medical staff, 3 doctors are specialists on COVID, and it's all they've been working with in Mexico. And the nurses also are professional nurses. It's a lady and a gentleman, and they also been dealing just with COVID patients. So they come in to help at the hospital and try to train a little bit more the nurses and better techniques to deal with the patients. And they're going to be here for the next couple of weeks.
Grenada started recording steady increases in positive cases about mid-August, and by the first half of September, the numbers has climbed to over the 3,000 mark. The virus has hit every parish in the state of Grenada, paving the way for community spread. Statistics show 55 COVID-related deaths to date. The medical practitioners, according to Fielding, worked at the front line of the COVID situation in Mexico, and based on a request from Grenada's health ministry, they accepted to come.
Mr. Steele approached the Pan American Health Organization and the World Health Organization to in Barbados to see if they could help, and through them It was sent this medical staff from Mexico.
The team is expected to begin work by Tuesday after the briefing with Health Minister Nicholas Deal. A team is also expected on the island from the USA. Christina John, GBN News.
And let's move on now to education. The Ministry of Education in Grenada has announced that schools will remain closed and online learning will continue for a while. It continues to await word from the Ministry of Health as to how soon students can return to the classrooms. Over at St. George's University, after reopening its doors to resume face-to-face learning on June 15th, it is now once more returning to online teaching. Sherry-Ann Blackman-Stevens reports.
The university said it is going back to online learning to safeguard students and faculty in the face of Grenada's rising COVID-19 cases. The change is for 2 weeks in the first instance. The announcement comes less than a month after the university introduced strict measures, including access by proof of vaccination only. It required all students, faculty, staff, administrators, vendors, and visitors entering the campus to be vaccinated. Vice-Chancellor Dr. Richard Librosk said that while they are not anticipating a prolonged suspension of in-person classes, students who wish to leave Grenada may return home to continue their studies online. Business sector representative in the Senate, Christopher Diali, is hoping that this is a short-term measure.
I believe we need to get back to normal as much as possible, and the only way to do that is to vaccinate, increase the rate of vaccination. You know, there are a lot of businesses, restaurants as an example, who have all the protocols in place, have social distancing in place, sanitization and so on, and yet still they have been closed, and they have been resorted to their delivery service. That has an impact on SGU and SGU students. A lot of them like to go to restaurants, eat out, order food, and so on. If we open them back up, insist that they follow the protocols as many of them do, and of course, have them for vaccinated students or have them for vaccinated persons, allow them their staff are vaccinated and the customers are vaccinated, and the risk is pretty low. And I believe that is the way out, and that's how we have to start thinking.
The university makes a significant contribution to Grenada's economy, and this is weighing on Mr. Diali's mind.
With students leaving the island en masse, then it will be significant. If not, and they decide to hold on for the 2 weeks, then we could possibly see some alleviation. But it really depends on whether there is a mass movement of students as a result of what has been announced by the university.
Dr. Charles Modica, Chancellor of SGU, stated that all active employees will continue to receive full pay and benefits. The institution said today that no one who has been associated with the university has been hospitalized. 2 weeks ago, it was announced that 15 cases have been identified among the university community. Cherry-Ann Blackman-Stevens, GBN News.
Dealing with various aspects of COVID-19, and a Grenadian neurologist has been sharing his expertise on how the coronavirus affects the brain. Dr. Kester Ned, the lead neurologist at the Kendall Regional Medical Center in Florida, outlined some of the neurological syndromes people develop due to COVID-19, and he outlined this in a recent interview.
A team of neurologists from Kendall Regional Medical Center in Florida has provided clear evidence that the COVID-19 virus causes profound muscular changes in the brain, despite no muscular trace of the virus in brain tissues. Up to a third of infected persons is said to have shown COVID-19 effects on the brain. Symptoms such as brain fog, memory problems, and fatigue, and a growing number of people have shown symptoms long after they seemingly recovered from virus infection. The lead neurologist at the Kendall Regional Medical Center in Florida is Grenadian-born and USA-trained Dr. Kester Ned. Ned is the son of a former GULP minister, Rapel Ned. He explains how COVID-19 affects the brain.
One of the things that COVID-19 does to your total body system, it affects your body's ability to produce energy. And because it attacks all of the cells in your body, and it creates massive inflammation. And when that happens, when there's massive inflammation, you tend to have your body reacting against you as your own self. Your body now starts looking at itself as the enemy. Now, one technical point I'll make is that the characteristics of viruses, particularly the COVID-19 virus, is that they have on their surface some what's called glycoproteins. These proteins look very similar to proteins on nerves. So when the body attacks the virus, okay, and produces antibodies against the virus, the body looks at those glycoproteins and say they're similar to what the body produces, and therefore the body also starts attacking itself.
The Grenadian doctor mentioned the job of the COVID-19 vaccine in this regard.
When you think of a vaccine is like getting disease, but getting it for a few days. What we call it's monophasic. Your body reacts to it. It's not the actual disease. In the past, when we created vaccines, we actually gave live vaccine, but we denatured the element that causes harm. But your body reacts to the vaccine just like it will react to the disease. And that's why some people with a vaccine could actually have a bad outcome, even with a vaccine.
The doctor says that individuals with a history of neurological problems were at high risk for developing new neurological symptoms while hospitalized with COVID-19. The findings underscore just how much damage COVID-19 can do to the nervous system, especially those who develop severe diseases. For GBN News, I am Rena Pear-Thomas reporting.
And it's so great that we have Grenadian professionals across the world dealing with this issue at this time. And hand sanitizers gifted to bus operators today will aid in keeping with protocols of proper hygiene the travelers on public transportation. In this report, we'll hear of this kind gesture made by Just School.
Junior Chuckley, Just School, GBN's roving traffic cam man, heeded the cry of busmen. It came as a pleasant surprise Monday morning as Just School gifted them with much-needed hand sanitizers. Bottles of the liquid were given to associations plying the different routes. The distribution took place at the St. George's bus terminus.
What it came about is I heard on the news that the busman was not getting any help from government in relation to hand sanitizers and so. So when I heard it, I brought it because I have people who follow me from all over the world based on what I've been doing. So I brought up the idea with them to sponsor hand sanitizers to the buses of the Bus Association of Grenada. And I find out the cost of the hand sanitizer, and I told them, and they said it's a good idea. And they send the contribution online, MoneyGram or Western Union, and based on what I collected, I was able to purchase a total of 29 5-liter bottles of hand sanitizer from West Hall Estate.
His initiative does not stop here in St. George. He's taken it further.
I distributed to the bus terminal in St. George's, so there's 8 bus association that runs the 8 routes. So each route got 3 bottles. 3 5-liter bottles. And my next stop, I go in Grenville. I go and give to the Grenville Bus Association. That's where I'm on my way to now.
The NBA, after 1 week of suspended services, has developed protocols to ensure the safety of both passengers and the operators. These include the provision of masks for drivers and conductors and the provision of sanitizing solution for passengers. Just School said the product was gladly received. Christina John, GBN News.
And of course, you can catch Just School on Mondays and Wednesdays with the weekly traffic cam, and that's at 7:45 in the morning. He does the Market Vibes program whenever the market, St. George's Market, is open. He also makes his trip to St. David, St. Andrew, and just about any corner of Grenada, you can expect to see him showing up. And now let's look forward to the new regulations. We expect that some kind of announcement will be made tomorrow. Let's look ahead in this report.
The new regulations are expected to be revealed in the next 24 hours as the current one expires at 11:59 p.m. Tuesday night. The new protocols will highlight if non-essential businesses will continue to keep their doors shut or if these workers will return to their daily trade. For the past 2 weeks, several businesses such as barbershops and beauty salons were not allowed to operate in an effort to curb the COVID-19 situation in Grenada. With active COVID-19 cases over 2,600, it remains to be seen what measures will be further put put in place after cabinet meeting on Monday. So far, 55 COVID-19 deaths have been recorded, with less than 30% of the population vaccinated. Some businesses are on the verge of collapse despite government's efforts to keep the country's economy afloat. Grenada now awaits the next move by the government to tackle the growing number of COVID-19 cases and fighting the deadly virus. The question still stands: when will things get back to normal? Standing in the tongue of St. George, I am Rena Pear Thomas reporting for GBN News.
Are you looking for quality herbs and herbal supplements, or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 418-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Fallage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
Once upon a time, we shopped at Wonderland, then Neverland. But we're all grown up now and no longer believe in fairy tales. So now we just shop at Shoes R Us. At Shoes R Us, we stock the latest in shoes, tops, and jeans for the fashion-conscious lady. We also carry colognes and much, much more. And for the modern trendy male, we have the latest brand name shoes and sneakers, Converse, Reebok, Nike, K-Swiss, Puma, and much more. So check us out at our two convenient locations, Melville Street in St. George and Ben Jones Street in Granville. At Shoes R Us, we say, come shop with us.
Ultratech gasoline and diesel, available only at Rubis stations.
My Digicel presents Hit by a How-To. Here is how you can purchase a plan in the My Digicel app and get instant access to all of our apps. It's simple. Let me show you how. From your home screen, find the plans and bundles icon in the lower left corner of your screen. Tap it to see your available plans and bundles. You can choose between a Prime bundle with data and talk or pick a plan from the Available Plans tab. Find the plan that's best for you, then hit confirm and you're ready to go. With your new plan, you may have access to more of our apps. Find them in the More from Digicel section and hit download for each of our new apps. You can also upgrade your current plan or bundle under the Active Plan section of your homepage. Excited to try it out? Download the My Digicel app today. My Digicel, better together.
Introducing Color by Sissons. 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 Color by Sissons.
level of convenience and comfort awaits you when you shop at Rise and Shine Supermarket and Hardware Supplies, Griffin Lane, Grenville. Convenient, because we are open Sunday to Sunday. We're even at your service on public holidays. Comfort, because we are easily accessible to the physically challenged. Free Wi-Fi is available while you shop, and bags come at no charge. Everyday low prices and excellent customer care. Adequate parking available. We supply everything you can possibly think of. Family and home supplies, fresh meat, vegetables, and personal care products. All brands of cooking gas at affordable prices. You can send in your order, have it pulled, or pick up express.
5 things you need to know about self-isolation. Stay home. If you are told to self-isolate, it means staying at home, not going to work, school, or other public places, and you should not have any visitors. Separate yourself. If you live with others, then you need to stay in a well-ventilated bedroom with the doors shut. If you have to share a bathroom, then use it after everyone else. Don't share towels and toiletries, as this may put others at risk. Call ahead. If you develop symptoms such as a fever or cough, then seek advice first by calling the Ministry of Health's hotline at 538-4787 or 458-4787. Please do not show up at a medical center or hospital, as this may put others at risk. Take care with waste. If you test positive, your waste should be double bagged and disposed of separately. Create a buddy system. If you live on your own, you can plan with friends and family to check in with each other and run essential errands if one becomes sick. Once sick, they should leave groceries on the doorstep. Why it's important. COVID-19 causes a mild illness for 4 out of 5 persons. Self-isolating will help protect the older generation and those who may have underlying health problems from getting infected.
Protect yourself and our community from COVID-19. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 70% alcohol. Use a tissue when blowing your nose, sneezing, or coughing. Immediately discard the tissue properly and wash or sanitize your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Let's do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. To stay up to date, visit the Government of Grenada's webpage or the Ministry of Health's Facebook page. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health's hotline by calling 53-VIRUS. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Imagine having the home of your dreams. Imagine investing in that piece of property you can call your own. Imagine finally doing that home improvement project you've always been thinking about. It's time to stop imagining and start doing. Let the GUT Credit Union help you take the first step with fantastic rates, affordable repayments, and reduced legal fees. Make the move. Get better terms on your mortgage. Use your home equity to make those dreams a reality. Act now. There's really no place like home. GUT Credit Union. It's where you belong.
Are you looking for quality herbs and herbal supplements? Or are you thinking about having a complete body cleanse to jumpstart your health? Then no need to look further. Visit Nirvana Natural Health Clinic, Detox Center, and Natural Health Store. We carry a wide range of herbal products for kidney and gallstone cleansing, male sexual enhancement formulas, asthma and sinusitis, gas and bloating, acid reflux, constipation, arthritis, imbalanced hormones, female health issues, reviews, liver cleansing, weight loss, and so much more. Also available, colonic irrigation, holistic health consultations, essential oils, and diffusers. Look out for our online natural health store coming soon. Call 231-6642 for 18-7115 or 449-7753 to find out about our delivery options or to book an appointment. Visit us at Belmont St. George's, close to the Foliage, Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nirvana Natural Health Clinic. Detox your way to health.
Get Rubigas. Get cooking. Rubigas, clean, safe, and reliable LPG is the perfect solution for your commercial and everyday needs. For cooking at home or barbecuing, choose Rubigas LPG cylinders. Available in a variety of sizes from 20 to 100 pound cylinders. Rubigas LPG, clean, safe, reliable. Are you cooking with Rubigas?
Get Rubis, get going.
Welcome back to Good Morning Grenada. It is now 18 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. Those of you just joining us, happy to have you. Those of you who stuck with us, thank you for your patience. Happy to have you. All right, let's get into this morning's discussion. I have joining me virtually this morning to give us an idea of how the last 2 weeks has been for the Royal Grenada Police Force. Joining me is head of the Community Relations Department of the RGPF, Inspector Trevor Rodney. Good morning, Inspector Rodney, and thank you so very much for joining us, sir. Appreciate your early morning appearance on the program this morning.
Yes, good morning, and it is indeed a pleasure to speak to the listening and viewing public this morning, and of course, thank you for the invitation.
Happy to have you, sir. So this morning I wanted to look at how specifically the last 2 weeks has been for the RGPF, considering the challenges with COVID-19 and the cooperation of the general public, the uncooperation of the general public, especially the 2 no movement weekends. So maybe just give us a general idea of how the past 2 weeks have been, and then we'll get into the specifics.
Yes, I'm pleased to report that generally the cooperation has been good amongst the general public, and of course we were able to execute our mandate in terms of maintaining the lockdown and maintaining as little movement as possible to enforce the law with regard to the regulations. And we want to, of course, from the RGPF, thank the general public for their cooperation. As I indicated, generally, we have had good cooperation on both weekends.
But even with the good cooperation, there are 1 or 2 Grenadians that we like to make we had. I'm going to put it in local parlance. What about ticketing and maybe some of the offenses that were committed over the past, or the 2 no movement weekends?
Of course. And if I give you a little background, laws were created to control the conduct of its citizens, because there would always be would-be lawbreakers and those who would actually test the law to see how effective the law is. And so that was seen during both weekends. We issue a number of tickets to persons. The major violations were failing to remain in the place of residence, at your place of residence, and failing to wear the masks and appropriate face coverings. So these 2 offenses, and it is of great concern to the RGPF, because that is essentially why these lockdowns are being done. So to really stem the tide of the spread of the COVID virus. And those areas are of concern. And of course, going forward, we try to be a little tighter in terms of enforcing the law with regard to what we saw. One ticket to be issued for this offense, is a concern. And we had in excess of 50 tickets issued.
I know the RGPF has been struggling because of some of its officers being on sick leave or being afflicted with the COVID-19. How much of a challenge did that pose in the operations of the force, enforcing the rules and regulations while dealing with less officers to enforce the rules and regulations?
Right. We had the privilege of, the executive had the privilege of recalling officers who were on leave and available. And that supported the operations. Notwithstanding that there was little challenge, but minimal challenge actually, minimal compared to the effect that COVID-19 had on the force. The challenges were minimal, and hats off to the administrators of the organization. The way that the operations were carried out, I mean, it is exemplary given the challenges that exist. But I want to also, on behalf of the administration of the force, thank those that came out, reported from leave, and with the whole attitude to work, that must be commended. The whole attitude and commitment to service, that must be commended, because that gives effect to rolling out your operations effectively. The posture of the men, the attitude to work, notwithstanding there are serious challenges of the possibility of contracting the virus, because we are frontline workers, of course, but the attitude, I mean, that must be commended and highlighted. On behalf of the RGPF, yes.
Good, I like to hear that. And unfortunately, the RGPF has recorded 2 deaths related to COVID-19. How has that dampened the spirits of members of the force, especially having to do your duties but still grieving the loss of 2 of their colleagues?
Yes, again, I want to highlight the posture of the men in that regard. Yes, you would mourn for several hours, you would grieve for several hours, in terms of having to just go a little slower than normal, because it is a normal reaction of human being when somebody that you're close to, your fellow officer, gone down because of the challenge of COVID-19, and you're working in an environment where it is real. So 2 of your colleagues gone down, and the environment is real. What do? Do you go into hiding, or do you adopt a kind of nonchalant approach? No, the officers, yes, they would have grieved for several hours, but immediately after that, they've gone into it again with the right approach, the right attitude. And because we're blessed to have a young officer who is the chaplain of the force, and we have that, and he provides human service in terms of ministering to the psychological and spiritual needs as a kind of stopgap for officers who are affected. And going forward, we'll have much more interaction so that officers can grieve and of course can be debriefed on the tragic loss of 2 officers in the line of duty, of course. So we are managing well, and we applaud the resilience of the men and women of the RGPF.
As announced yesterday, we have 2 more no movement weekends coming up, this weekend and the following one. Are there any changes that the RGPF intend to make, or adjustments in the way that it has been enforcing the rules and regulations in preparation for these couple of no movement weekends?
Well, of course, every time you have an operation, you would have done your postmortem, you must see 1 or 2 areas that you want to tighten on, and you must see 1 or 2 areas you want to make adjustments. And of course, with the RGPF, we're certainly going to look at some areas. As I indicated, we've seen some violations. We're going to be looking much closer in terms of how we monitor those violations. The violations that we see, they are generally in the what we look, quote unquote, in the countryside. In the rural areas, and of course we will have to see how best we can. But more importantly, what we really seek in is cooperation. Now, our law enforcement organization, the foremost approach is not to charge. The foremost approach is to see how we can win the cooperation and the understanding of the general public to cooperate and comply with the instructions that are there. And we're trying as much as possible. Hence, we have these discussions on the media, social media and otherwise, so that we can ask for your cooperation. But if that doesn't happen, then of course we would have to enforce the law, and enforce the law in the strictest sense of the word.
You mentioned by and large you've seen cooperation from members of the public, but what would you say has been the greatest challenge in getting people to understand the need to observe the regulations, to observe the rules? It's not normal times. What would you say has been the greatest challenge for the members of the force?
See, this approach to the pandemic has to be multifaceted. All hands have to be on deck, and we have to bombard the general public with information. And the information starts with some basic questions. Is there a pandemic? Yes. Is there COVID virus? Yes. Is it real in Grenada? Yes. Is it killing people? Yes. Is it does the health system able to manage the pandemic if it continues? No. So these questions have to be asked in a very real way. And then generally, because I think there are a lot of information based on the science, they're misleading and so forth. But so the ordinary man on the ground, for instance, the guys who are going to be hiding in some bushes and gambling with no face covering and so forth, obviously that information has not significantly touched them yet. They're hearing something, but it has not. And if they 10 guys, 12 guys, let's suppose, come down with the virus, and the virus affect them seriously, you're talking about having to go to the hospital and utilize the facilities there, and so on. It adds to the hospitalization. And I think the whole selling of the effect of the pandemic on families, on the nation, how it's going to affect the economy, the same guys, if they would they have money in the future if the pandemic pans out the way it is going. So gambling. I think the conversation on the ground, I think, has to be, in my view, more far-reaching, so that people will understand basic questions. And I think that is the approach. So that is why every opportunity we get as the RGPF, we want to share the information to be a player, since we are the one in the front line. And a lot of times they see us. As a matter of fact, I heard some chaps in my right in my gap suggesting that the police is handbugging their life, and some police have to dead because they handbugging their life and that kind of thing. You know, they freedom, they just want to go about their business as normal, and I'm supposed they're making those comments for me to hear, and you know, that sort of thing. But so I'm telling you how if it is not understood from the perspective that this is a real challenge, then we would have a serious problem on our hand going forward. So really and truly, we're trying to buy as much as possible, and that's why we have these interaction with the general public, the press conferences, and every opportunity to speak in the news and so on about the effect. And then it's going to make, because we want to, as much as possible, have less interaction generally. So we don't want to make, arrest, for instance, as though things are normal because of the potential threat of the pandemic, of the virus. So and so that's why the system, the ticketing system, we're using it. And of course, and the thing is, the penalty for the tickets are the penalties are $500. When you forget to wear your mask, well, or you deliberately choose not to wear your mask, after, as they say, when the carnival over, you have your ticket to pay $500. Where are you getting this $500? Because would you believe that there are some behaviors that are going on that I'm learning about in the community? I understand that people, we have to look into it, of course. People are gathering in houses and making cook overnight and all this sort of stuff. Now, and the general public, to my mind, I don't want to accuse the general public of knowing and not letting us know. But it is a fight among the entire population. So if you know of guys gathering in a house that has a potential threat for the spread of the disease and so forth, let us know. Anonymous call. Make an anonymous call. You don't have to say your name and all of that, so that we can deal with these issues. Because if they are not dealt with, the citizens who are following the law would probably say, okay, the police is not doing anything, and then you become unsupportive, whereas we don't actually have the information to be able to deal with it. So, Blossom, you understand how this thing is everybody on board, Everybody on board. Not for law enforcement to be effective. Everybody has to be on board, cooperate, so that we can be more decisive in our approach and deal with the matter. And if there are violators, of course, we have to deal with them. But a lot of things people don't give attention to, especially those who break the law. You have a grandmother that has comorbidities, and you gone out in the bush or wherever, and among your friends, you contract the disease, you've gone home. Grandma, grandma is affected. How do you deal with that? That level of regret? Or there is somebody who has a challenge, for instance, asthmatic. Those issues that the virus really loves. How do you deal with that? So these are the conversation. You'll say, okay, law enforcement, let's talk about law, let's talk about arresting them, let's talk about sending them to prison, all of that. But I believe the approach has to be more engaging in terms of, because what you really want to change is people thinking, If you don't change their thinking, why do you think people repeat prisons and so on? And so forth? Because their thinking is not changed. They have not gotten to the place to accept that there are standards of behavior that society accepts. And that is the engagement I believe that we have to be more deeply concerned with. And that certainly is going to help our operational successes. And it has in the past, and it will continue to happen, but it's just that we want to see almost zero violations. I mean, that is, one might say that is wishful thinking, but that is what we aim. You aim for the sky, you probably hit the stars. So that is my approach, really.
And you mentioned something a short while ago in terms of members of the public calling the RGPF and reporting things that they are seeing, violations and so on and so forth. Is that happening regularly? People calling and saying, listen, this person's supposed to be isolating, they're not isolating. This person not wearing a mask. This non-essential business is opened. Are people doing that? Because it's something I think we need to do more of.
Yes, we are getting some calls, but we would be glad if every violation can be reported so that we can deal with it. We can deal with it. There are some knitted communities, really, that generally they prefer to speak to an individual as opposed to making an official complaint. So that is another aspect. Rather than, so let's say somebody knows me quite well, they would call me, and as opposed to making an official complaint to the station or so. But we're having some cooperation there. But remember, my aim is to have it totally, completely. That is a tall order, but that is always my aim. If you aim for the top, you're going to fall somewhere close to the top. So that is my aim, actually.
And you mentioned that you've been getting reports of people having house cook or home cooks. And I've also seen reports of non-essential businesses, specifically village shops, or as some people call it, rum shops, operating and opening. Is that a concern that the RGPF has in terms of non-essential businesses or businesses who do not have permission to opening their doors during these times?
Yeah, we have been dealing with this. As a matter of fact, I saw from the record that some businesses were ticketed for opening. So tickets, they can be ticketed for that. And in based on what is happening economically, I don't know if any business operator want to pay $500 or risk going to court and having to pay a maximum fine of $1,000 when you violate the regulations. I mean, you have to think out of the box. You might open and make $100 for the day, violate the regulation, and then you have to pay $500. Would you say you're a business person? And that is how we have to analyze your conduct in terms of what the law is trying to do. Yes.
What about other crimes? Because primarily the news, we are inundated with news of COVID-19, and that's what the focus is on, as it should be. But I feel like there are other things taking place that we're not really hearing about or paying attention to. What are some of the other crimes that the RGPF still has a problem with in addition to COVID-19?
Well, generally, the crime rate has reduced, As a matter of fact, between last week and for the 2 weeks, in the comparison of the crimes, there was just one. So one week was 12 crimes for the week, and the other week was 13. So just one in difference. So we've seen a reduction. I think what is happening is the frequency of the patrols and the control movement and the patrols. I think we're seeing a serious management of the crime situation. I think, and that is to me good for the country, for the economy, for the whole psyche of the unsuspecting public, to know that there is not many of these serious crimes. But something I want to mention, Blossom, we have seen a practice with motorists driving at high speed, let me put it that way, rushing to get to their destination before the 7 o'clock curfew. That's something that we definitely have to pay attention to, and I believe members of the public are seeing that. In fact, just last night I heard the sound of, when I looked, a vehicle in, and there was a hump, and the vehicle actually ran over the hump at the same speed. So it's something, motorists, we are appealing to you that you manage your time. You're aware that the curfew begins at 7 o'clock. Manage your time so you can get to your destination. Do not put other people at risk by your irresponsible behavior. You have to be mindful of that. And we've still seen that. And if you're caught, and when you're caught, of course, you would face the consequences of the law. We're not prepared to tolerate any behavior that jeopardizes any other individual, any other member of the public, any other citizen. And that is our mandate. And of course, we'll be looking out for that. We've seen it and we've had several complaints in that regard.
Have you seen an increase in the amount of vehicular accidents by way of people trying to beat the curfew? Because I've seen a few pictures and videos, but not enough for me to gauge if it's an increase, if it's the same, if it's less vehicular accidents with people 5 minutes to 7 trying to race home.
Right, we've seen some accident, but we have not analyzed it to say that it contributes, because you have to analyze everything to make sure that you can say definitively that is the case. You don't want to, when it comes to that, you don't want to suspect. But I believe if the behavior continues, that is going to be possible. Well, we've had some serious accidents too over the period, not an alarming amount, but anything serious is cause for concern. And that is how you treat with these issues, so that you can put the proper mechanism in place to reduce it. If you just, there is another accident, then of course they would have another accident and they would have another accident. But if there is an accident, you analyze the cause, and then immediately you begin to put mechanism in place to deal with the cause. And I think that is what has given the RGPF successes in going forward. Every morning we have a operational brief. We look at what pans out. If there is a hole, we plug it, and that is how we and that is why you see this. It takes a lot, It takes a lot on the part of the administration to have to every day sit and analyze and guide your men to be able to. It takes a lot, but nonetheless, we committed to this. And hats off to the commissioner and his executive, and of course the entire membership of the RGPF from the civilian staff. We have quite a number of civilian staff, and so from my own, because I have to speak to you and speak to, I have to make my own observation. So I am in everything to make sure that when I speak,
I know the feeling.
I speak with a level of knowledge and experience, you see? So it's important.
I know the feeling, yes. Myself too, I always have to ensure I know a little piece of everything because I have to be on top of the game. And just before we go to the break, going back to the issue of crimes committed, you mentioned 12 and about 13 in the past 2 weeks, but on average, just by way of comparison, on average, how many serious crimes you say we've recorded per week in past, let's say July?
Yeah, I don't have the figures with me, but I know sometimes some months ago we've been having a little challenge with housebreaking and stealing, what we call property crime. We've been having some challenges with these. So based on what we're seeing, I know that is significantly reduced. I can't give you actual number, okay. but I know that is significantly reduced because the as I say, you do not know what direction and what we have. I just want to highlight that the patrols have discovered victims as a result of the patrol, and they have met criminals, people involved in crime during the curfew, because you don't know what direction the patrols are coming from. You don't know what direction the officers are coming from. And so you on top of it, when especially you have a lockdown. And so we have been able to have some success in that regard. And so we want to warn criminals that our eyes are open wide, in a manner of speaking. And we the last thing, because we have the pressure of the pandemic, we don't want to have the pressure of crime. We don't want to have two pressures coming together. You know, they have this old saying, pressure is burst pipe, but we don't want no pipe to be busted. So our eyes are wide open, looking for and strategizing to ensure that everything, including the pandemic, stays down. So that is the posture of the RGPF at this point in time.
All right. Let's take a quick break, Inspector Rodney, and then we're going to come back and continue the discussion. Speaking with head of the CRD, Community Relations Department, Inspector Trevor Rodney. We'll be right back with Good Morning Grenada.
Feel good facts. Help prevent cold and flu by washing your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. That's the time it takes to remove most germs. No soap and water? No worries when you've got alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
This is a plastic bag. From February 1st, these bags are not to be used when shopping for food. So here's what you should do. Refuse plastic. Instead, bring your own reusable shopping bags and say goodbye to plastic. Choose to refuse plastic. Walk with your reusable shopping bags and help protect pure Grenada from plastic pollution. A message from the Ministry of Climate Resilience.
Spread diseases, so cover coughs and sneezes, please. Not with a rag or bandana. They trap germs. When you use the rag again, you put germs on your hands and everything else you touch. When you cough or sneeze, cover your mouth and nose with tissue. Throw the tissue in a bin and wash your hands afterwards. If you don't have a tissue, cough into your sleeve or elbow. Alcohol-based hand sanitizers are also effective in cleaning hands.
GBN Television News at 7.
Welcome back to Good Morning Grenada. Speaking with Head of the Community Relations Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force, Inspector Trevor Rodney. Let me see if I can. There are some questions on the social media, but before we get to them, let me inquire about members of the force who have been confirmed COVID-19 positive. Have we had any figures in relation to recoveries of these officers?
Yes, our most recent figures, we have had 116 officers recovered from the effects of the virus, and we're grateful to God for His divine intervention on the RGPF, because frontline workers really need the mercies and grace of God to be able to function in this pandemic. And let me also take the opportunity on behalf of the Commissioner of Police and the entire force to thank the family of those officers that died in the line of duty. Thank you for your family members that have served with diligence, served the nation with diligence, and indeed the RGPF. So family members, loved ones, friends of the officers that passed, on behalf of the entire force, the Commissioner and the entire force, we thank you for the service that these great men have delivered to the nation and the RGPF. I think it's fitting to do that publicly.
And any reports about a situation at the Richmond Hill prison, whether it be inmates and or prison officers?
I can't confirm that information.
No problem at all. All right, there's a comment on Facebook that says, I don't think the RGPF should take comfort in the perceived reduced crime rate. On the ground, there is an increase in domestic violence, teenage pregnancy. Let's not forget victims are now locked in with their perpetrators. Fear plays an integral role in why they aren't reporting the incidences. The issue of domestic violence and so with lack of reporting, maybe?
It's possible. It's possible. Having to report and stay in the same, but we are trying as much as possible to be engaged in the community to pick up these issues. We have from in last time around, the reports show that there was an increase in issues, family issues, whether it be domestic violence or family feuds and so forth. And we discovered that it was attributed to people being in lockup, as it were. Lockdown, not lockup, but lockdown. And yes, so we'll be looking. In fact, we're looking out for that. We're looking out for that, and we're checking the numbers carefully to see if there is a drastic decrease. And if there is a drastic decrease based on our previous experience, we obviously will have to look deeper to see if it is happening and not being reported. That is a very valid observation, and we certainly we have that in our thoughts in terms of going forward. Yes, thanks.
All right, we have enough time. Let me see if I can get one caller who may have a question. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go right ahead.
Well, listen to me. I hope your guests can hear me. Greetings. Listen, only a couple of weeks ago, there was an official spokesperson of Her Majesty's Royal Grenada Police Force boasted with alacrity on radio that they had ticketed some people for, quote-unquote, operating businesses outside of the curfew hours. I hope the gentleman heard that statement. My question is as follows. Has consideration been given to retracting this statement, which was obviously an injustice, and have these people been exonerated in any way? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Inspector Rodney?
Well, once an offense is committed, the law gives us the authority to charge, and by way of tickets. And we certainly would do that. I'm not sure what the consideration was. If the business operates outside of the period given by law, it means that it is a violation. So if the violation has, I don't understand why the statement needs to be retracted if in fact the law is violated and tickets are issued. I hope that I understood what the gentleman was trying to say.
That's how I interpreted it as well. So, I'm not sure exactly why it should be retracted either. Yes. Let me go to this other caller. Good morning, caller. Okay, we lost that caller. So let me ask Inspector Rodney. For me personally, anytime there is an issue, one of my first thoughts is call the police. But during these COVIDious times, I know there are different responsibilities for the police, different responsibilities for the COVID-19 hotline, the Ministry of Health. What exactly should I contact the RGPF for? What are the reaches of the RGPF where they can help me? Let's say if I'm calling because I have symptoms, or I'm calling to report a crime, what should I reach to the police for as compared to the Ministry of Health?
Right. We are to respond to offenses against the law generally, and issues that would reduce social behaviors that could amount to crime. So something may not yet be a crime, but for instance, a family feud, and it has the potential to develop into a crime, for instance, you can call in that regard. With regard to symptoms of the virus, that is strictly for the Ministry of Health. If you call, you're not getting sure, we might be able to transfer, not to respond and deal with it, because of the protocol is quite strict in relation to responding to symptoms, persons displaying symptoms of the virus. So we can facilitate you get into the hospital, for instance, or by way of we might be in a better position then to place the call, or we might be in a better position to get to the authorities and report on your behalf. But in terms of actual responding to depending on the nature, we without help or advice from the medical practitioners, we would be a little bit careful in that regard. But all calls generally should be placed with the Ministry of Health, the hotline, and so forth. I have heard explanation from the Minister of Health and, of course, the health authorities. Because of the amount of calls, they are inundated with calls and so forth, you may find you may not get speedy response. And that is obvious in a crisis. But I want to encourage you to still place the calls. But if not, we may have additional resources in terms of causing the call to go to the relevant authority. But in terms of physical response, we would take directive from the Ministry of Health, who has, of course, the expertise in terms of dealing with these matters. Yes.
All right. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to you, ma'am.
Morning.
Good morning to you, ma'am.
Morning, go right ahead.
Right, and good morning to Mr. Rodney. Mr. Rodney knows me who is speaking. I am still having that over troubling problem with me in my home with my boys, and you are aware of it. And while I'm getting help from the police, I am not satisfied that enough help is given. I'm not satisfied that these boys are never been apprehended, and things are getting out of hand. I have spoken up to yesterday to senior police officers. I am not satisfied that things are getting, I'm getting the kind of help that they need. I'm understanding, yes, I'm getting help, but things are getting out of hand. And your office can do better. It is a serious situation. You are aware of what I'm saying.
Thank you, caller.
With the officer in charge of the Western Division with regard to your situation.
Sorry, just say it again. We missed out the beginning of what you said.
Yes, I was saying I would have a discussion with the officer in charge of the Western Division in relation to your situation, sir.
Oh,
thanks, Lord.
All right, I think that's all the time we have for other questions. Do you have any final or closing comments, Inspector Rodney?
Yeah, of course. We would, at some point in time, in the days ahead, we would remind the general public what the regulations are, and the regulation has been upgraded, and of course we will do that. And so we want to urge total compliance with the regulation and of course the COVID-19 protocols. I believe that from my experience that if we fight this thing together, certainly we can reduce the effect of the virus, of the spread of the virus. And from the perspective of the RGPF, we have to practice what the law says, and we certainly will be doing that. And we will be doing that again. The lockdown is expected to continue, and we are going to be doing that. And please cooperate, because we would exercise the law as required. We will have to carry out our mandate of ensuring that we achieve what the law is designed to do. And so we thank the members of the public so far for their cooperation, and we urge those minority who have violated to please cooperate with the police, and remember the other person you're putting at risk. So have a blessed day, all of Grenada. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share this morning.
Thank you, Inspector Rodney. Appreciate your appearance this morning. Early hours, making yourself available. Thank you very much. Continue doing what you're doing. All my best to the RGPF, and we support you 100%. Thank you very much. Good to know there's 116 recoveries, and hopefully less to go until the force is back to full force.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. Head of the Community Relations Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force, Inspector Trevor Rodney. We thank him so very much for sharing some information with us, especially as the RGPF puts all hands on deck going through this tumultuous COVID-19 period. It is not normal times for the RGPF, even more so that some of the officers have contracted the virus. They have lost at least 2 members of the force in the past week. So sympathies to the RGPF once again, and continue doing what you're doing. Good morning to Commissioner Edwin Martin, all the members of the force. ACP Mitchell, thank you for your assistance in getting this morning's program successfully completed. And ACP Prince, thank you very much. That's the end of the televised portion of Good Morning Grenada. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Let's get ready to join the BBC for its 8 a.m. newscast. Those of you heading out, I hope you're heading out because you absolutely have to. And once you're heading out, walk with your masks, your hand sanitizers. If you're at home and you're coming back home, soap and water would do just fine for 20 seconds. Just continue to observe the protocols. COVID-19 protocols are in place. Those of you using public transportation, once again, even if you're the Lone Ranger adhering to the mask wearing, hand sanitizing mandate, please be the Lone Ranger. Be the only person, at least you know you are doing your best to stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your terrific Tuesday. Have yourselves a blessed and safe day. Goodbye.